Broken whip.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, as you know, in the final days in office, the Biden administration gave California, the liberal state of California, permission to export its far-left electric vehicle mandate to the entire country. This week, this Senate will end California's mandate madness. Now, I listened to some of the Democrats' arguments on the floor yesterday. Mr. President, there was a lot of huffing and puffing going on about the sanctity of the Government Accountability Office and about the filibuster, which, let me remind you, every single Democrat has promised to eliminate. There were wild accusations that the sky was falling on the United States Senate. What nobody who tuned in heard is what these California rules would actually do to our country. Well, why not, Mr. President? Isn't that why Democrats are really so panicked? Isn't that why Democrats and Joe Biden waited until after the election, after they lost the election in the House, the Senate, and the White House, to spring this whole thing on the American people? They were losers going out the door, and they said, we're coming after you, the American people, with our leftist dreams. Isn't that why they spent months coordinating this release with their allies at the GAO? So they could avoid, or at least try to avoid, Senate scrutiny under the Congressional Review Act? Isn't that what they were really up to? Well, it is what they were up to. So why are the Democrats so darn desperate to talk about anything and everything except what these punishing rules will actually do to America, American workers, and the American economy? Well, let me tell you why. California EV mandates ban the sale of gas-powered cars and trucks. No more in America, gas-powered cars. Can you imagine that in Oklahoma or my home state of Wyoming? They threaten, the Democrats want to threaten the freedom of every American to choose what they drive. That's what this is about. EVs currently make up 7% of the U.S. market. Even in California, they account for only 20% of vehicle sales. And you know what else? The sales are stalling. They're stalling out. People don't want these. Even with the big government subsidies, people don't want to buy these things. Yet California's radical mandates require that by next year, and it's coming, we're already into May of this year, by next year, by January, that all vehicle sales in the state of California, 35% of them have to be electric. That's 6 months from now, 7 months from now. By 2035, it'd be 100% of vehicle sales in California have to be electric. Big penalties if it doesn't meet that. For the people that are making the cars, that people don't want to buy. This is a whole new meaning in California of fantasy land. That's what we're dealing with here. America can't meet these impossible standards, not next year, not 10 years, and the American people don't want to meet those standards. For car makers, the consequences are severe. If you don't sell enough electric vehicles, California is saying to them and to the other states that sign on to this, even when Americans don't want to buy them, too bad, California, these people will pay a fine of $20,000 per vehicle. $20,000 per vehicle because people don't want to buy what the government says they gotta buy. Look, there are ways to avoid this fine, and one way is limiting the sales of gas-powered vehicles. Well, that's rationing. That's what we're seeing. The Democrats want to ration the sales of gas-powered vehicles to live in their fantasy land of everybody driving an electric vehicle. Look, the harms of this mandate extend way beyond just car makers. The Democrat mandates would cost the economy about $100 billion a year. $100 billion. The impact would be about 330,000 jobs lost. The Democrat mandate would punish hardworking families. Prices would be higher. They're trying to buy these regular gas-powered vehicles because there would be fewer for sale. They would bury small businesses under crushing compliance costs. In my home state of Wyoming and rural states like ours, farmers, ranchers, they'd suffer both from EVs' limited reliability and clearly from their limited range. And people drive long distances in Wyoming, to school, to the grocery store, to work. Every American citizen would lose options, whether you live in California or not. So you have the California EV mandates, and the Democrats don't want to talk about that part of it. They're expensive, they're expansive, and they are economically destructive. They would hurt our economy, hurt our workers, hurt the pocketbooks and purses of Mr. and Mrs. America. This isn't just a California problem, it's a nationwide assault on gas-powered cars in America. The California mandates cover over 40% of all new cars in the country. They span 11 states, including big population states, New York, New Jersey, here in the District of Columbia. All of them signed on to California's radical attempt to set a new national standard. So it's not just a California standard, everyone's impacted. The California senators, the members of this body, they actually brag about this overreach of this mandate on EVs. The junior senator from California, he says he's, quote, very proud that his state's liberal agenda can control the country. How many members of this Senate, and certainly on this side there, want to share the pride of California's liberal agenda controlling the country? The American public on Election Day rejected the liberal agenda of California, whether it comes to electric vehicles, whether it comes to open borders, whether it comes to sanctuary cities, a sanctuary state, their efforts to defund police. People have rejected all across the country the liberal agenda controlling our country. So Democrats have this delusional dream. They want to eliminate gas-powered vehicles. The rest of us, we live in the real world. And that's what we're doing here today. Because in the real world, gas-powered vehicles keep our farms running, keep our ranches going, keep our businesses thriving, keep our economy moving. The Congressional Review Act provides the Senate a swift and permanent solution. With a simple majority here in the Senate, Congress can kill these rules and ban similar ones forever. Not just the Senate, the House as well. And the fight goes beyond party lines because it's not just about Republicans or Democrats, it's about common sense. It's about control. The House of Representatives voted on this, Mr. President. They wanted to end these punishing California mandates. So how'd the vote go? Well, every Republican voted to kill the mandate, as you can imagine. 35 House Democrats voted to kill this mandate, including Democrats from the state of California, who realized just how impractical and expensive and impossible it would be to comply with what the Biden administration tried to force-feed the American people after they lost the election, lost the presidency, lost the House, and lost the Senate. A New York Democrat who voted with the Republicans and with these 35 other Democrats said, out of touch with reality is what these California mandates are. Out of touch with reality. Even the junior senator from Michigan, a Democrat, campaigned and won an election in 2024 against EV mandates. Well, we'll see how she votes today on the floor of the Senate after she campaigned last year in Michigan against the EV mandates. Will she be against them today when we vote on this? Well, time will tell, Mr. President. She actually told voters, drive what you want. We'll see today if she really believes that, or she says, drive what you want, but you can only buy what I'm demanding that you buy, an electric vehicle. We will see in the vote today. Senate Democrats now want to force-feed electric vehicles to everyone in America. So Democrats are claiming the Congressional Review Act doesn't apply. They don't want to talk about the policy. They want to say, well, the Congressional Review Act shouldn't apply. These last-minute objections by Democrats are very flawed. What they're citing is a non-binding observation by the Government Accountability Office, an observation that said, for the first time in history, an agency-submitted rule wasn't a rule. That's what they're saying. The argument collapses under scrutiny. The Environmental Protection Agency submitted these rules as rules to Congress this year after being released by the Biden administration in his final days in office. That's a fact. No one disputes it. The Democrats don't dispute it. They know what happened. They know they're trying to sneak one through. They know it. Under the Congressional Review Act, that makes these rules subject to review. Period. End of story. They're subject to review. The GAO has no veto power over this body, the United States Senate. Not a veto from the Congressional Review Act, not a veto under the Senate rules, not a veto under Senate precedent. They have no standing. More troubling, the GAO's actions suggest bias, because left-wing bureaucrats at the GAO rushed a response in only 13 days to prop up the mandates. How do we know that? Because we know they colluded with Senate Democrats to do so. When Republicans challenged the GAO's observations, Senate Democrats turned to scare tactics now about the filibuster. It's ironic, since every Senate Democrat has either voted for or campaigned on eliminating the filibuster. This Senate vote on the California EV mandates, it's not about Senate rules, Mr. President. It's about Democrats' delusional dream to eliminate gas-powered vehicles forever. That's what they want. What their complaints are is a smokescreen to save a pillar of their Green New Deal. You know, years ago, Congress created a fast-track procedure. It was actually 1996. That's when the Congress passed the Congressional Review Act. This week, the Senate must decide, do we uphold our rights under the Congressional Review Act, or do we give the GAO a veto over Congressional Review Act now and forever? Our decision is going to shape the future of the Congressional Review Act. Americans have spoken. They have rejected EV mandates in November at the ballot box. The House has acted in a bipartisan way with 35 Democrats joining all the Republicans, and it's now up to the Senate to stop these EV mandates from taking hold on our nation. I want to thank my colleagues who led the effort. Chairman Shelley Moore Capito of West Virginia, Senator Deb Fischer of Nebraska, and Senator Mark Wayne Mullen of Oklahoma. Together, we're going to reject these far-left cheerleading for more regulations. We're going to protect consumers, we're going to protect affordability, and we're going to protect the authority of this institution. It's time to end this California mandate madness. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.
Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Osterbrooks.